But there is a report, Rob, the second report by Ramona Shelburne of ESPN. She's the second reporter to come out in the last few weeks and say that James Harden is not only looking at Philadelphia or Houston, but that he also may have eyes for Phoenix, which of course would mean a reunion with Kevin Durant. Now, how it would happen, it would seem like it'd be a tough thing to pull off for Phoenix, but that's neither here nor there for our purposes. If you're Kevin Durant and you know what happened in Brooklyn, Harden left y'all high and dry, would you even want to entertain him coming back to Phoenix or coming to Phoenix to join you?
No way, no how, Chris Broussard. If I'm Kevin Durant, I want no parts of Harden.
James
Harden. I want no parts of him because of what he did in Brooklyn. I mean, he left him high and dry. You can't count on the guy. And here's the second part, Chris. Forget if you just want to be, if you say, well, I'm not that petty, I'll just let bygones be bygones, whatever. He doesn't perform in the postseason. Like, he has more down games and bad games than good games. We saw him play a couple of good games, right, against Boston.
A couple of great
We
games.
really did.
Yeah.
That game one with no Embiid, that was a great moment there.
Yep.
But he's had a lot more, bad games in big moments. So if I'm Kevin Durant, I don't want that. Is this guy going to flip on me again, Chris? Is this guy going to walk out on me and leave me high and dry when I need him most and decides all of a sudden midway through the season, I want to go back to Houston. I want to go back to Houston and go to the strip clubs and hang out. I don't want him if I'm Durant.
I mean, look, you make some good points. I mean, it's hard to defend James Harden's track record on several fronts. One, like you said, the playoff performances. It's not, look, and I've said this for years, Rob. If you go back and look through his playoff resume, it's not that he doesn't have huge games.
He has some.
Yes, he has some very good games. The challenge for him seems to be when it's game 6 or it's game 7. And when the rubber really hits the road, when the money is really on the line, when the stakes are the highest, James just time and time again has not shown up, whether it's throwing the ball all over the yard or the arena in this case and making a bunch of turnovers, or as he can't hit a three-point shot, or he's passive, whatever it may be, he hasn't delivered. Now, in that situation, and here's what I was going to say, with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, Rob, he would only have to be that great playmaker you and I have talked about. When he was in Brooklyn, he was a great playmaker. And so he would only have to do that, right? We've talked about that.
And he played great. We both ranted and raved about what he was doing.
Absolutely. Here's the other thing, though. Remember, he said that he wants to kind of go back and play free, right? He wants to play like he did when Embiid was out and he scored 45 in game 1 or whatever it was and led them to a victory over Boston. So you're not going to do that in Phoenix. Here's to the crux of the matter and what you were saying. I think if let's say this is real and there was a way that they could get Harden. If I'm Phoenix, I would prefer to go out and get some depth. All right, I would prefer to have a big 2 of Durant and Devin Booker. Now, I don't mind DeAndre Ayton, but it seems like they may want to move on from him. But I would love to just build a deep, talented group of role players
because you need them,
Durant
Chris.
And Devin.
You need them.
That's what Denver has, and Miami doesn't even have that. I mean, Bam. I don't want to disrespect Bam. But, they got Jimmy Butler and Bam. They aren't on the level of KD and Devin Booker, and yet they're in the finals.
Right.
So that's what I'd be looking at. But let's talk about Harden. Rob, if I'm Kevin Durant, I would not just dismiss it outright. I would say, if I'm Kevin Durant, I've got to sit down with James Harden and have a real heart-to-heart. And they know what went down in Brooklyn. I don't know how much they've talked about it, if at all, or what. But Rob, I think some of these situations, you just got to be open to talking with dudes, right? Like, I mean, really sit down. And sometimes, and again, we're not privy to everything. So maybe they do have these conversations and they don't share them with us. Like Rob, with Kyrie, when he didn't want to get vaccinated, that's his right, fine. But if I'm Kevin Durant, and we are best friends, or, we're one of each other's best friends.
Right, and I came here to Brooklyn with you. What are we doing?
We are sitting down and having a heart-to-heart. Now, you might at the end of the day just still be like, man, look, I love you. You my boy. I get that this hurts you and the team, but I got to stand on my principles. And I can respect that. But we at least going to have a heart-to-heart. You and I have had times in this our 5-6 years together, whatever it is.
Yep.
We've had heart-to-hearts, uncomfortable conversations, and that's what I'd have to do if I'm Kevin Durant with James Harden, Rob. And then it would be like, am I satisfied with his explanation? And you're right. It still would be like, can I still trust him?
Can I trust him, Chris? And that's the thing is that, if it's just basketball. It's just like the Kyrie thing. If it's just basketball, Chris, it's a layup. Right? I mean, who's not taking Kyrie if it's just basketball? But we don't know. You're saying to yourself, what does James want? Does he really want to win? Does he really want to be here? Is he going to flake come midseason and decide, you know what? Between Booker and Durant, I can't really do my thing here. I don't want to be here.
Yep.
Right? That could happen.
Right. If he doesn't make the All-Star team and those two do, right? I mean, you're not only the second guy to Joel Embiid, you're the third guy.
Right.
That's real, man. That's real. And I think, Rob, at the end of the day, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm saying, you know what? I'd rather build depth.
Right, because they got two dynamic scorers already. And depending on, Chris, what you could get for Ayton, right? I mean, if they do deal him, he's valuable. He's young. He's big. There's somebody, you might be able to get another player that complements those two.
And I tell you what, with Ayton, and obviously, he and Monty Williams certainly were at odds. Monty's gone. You would think maybe there's a chance he stays. Look, he's 18 points and 10 rebounds without even running much offense.
Yep.
So I would if I'm Frank Vogel, I do want to sit down and talk with him, talk with everybody who's been there, some of the assistant coaches who are still going to be around, and see what's going on. But I would try to rectify that. But, Rob, I'm going to throw a trade out that actually would work financially. Remember, there was talk that Russell Westbrook could have been traded to Indiana for Miles Turner and Buddy Hield.
Right.
If I'm Phoenix and it's not going to work with Ayton, that's a deal I'd love to do.
I would love to get both of those two guys.
Him. Yep. I got a shooter in Hield, and I've got a shot blocker and rim protector who also can shoot in Miles Turner. Again, I need depth. So that's something Indiana signed. Remember, they signed Ayton to that offer sheet before Phoenix.
That's right.
So that would be something I look at if I'm Phoenix. Look, Rob, I think Phoenix, if they play their cards right this summer, I think if they build correctly around Booker and Durant, then they could be in the mix next year.
You think they could?
I think they could be in the mix. They have to build properly around those guys. And of course, Durant has to stay healthy.
Right. You know what I mean? There's absolutely a couple other things that would have to go right for them. And it doesn't mean, even if Denver wins, like it's automatic. I mean, Phoenix went to the championship, Chris, a couple years ago, had up 2-0. They didn't win, and they didn't go back.
And Milwaukee.
Right. Milwaukee.
They lost to Milwaukee, but Milwaukee hadn't been back
exactly.
yet.
It ain't automatic.
Yeah. And, it would be very interesting. But remember, Rob, we'll see what happens with this series. Does Miami go 5? Do they go 6?
What's your gut,
7?
real quick?
Do they maybe win? My pick was 6, but right now I'm feeling like 5. I'm feeling like, and I get it, Antonio's right.
Whenever
we
you are
to
right,
each game.
Right, we do.
But I think we both felt from the get-go Denver's just the better team. And I think that they kind of got a wake-up call from game 2.
Absolutely. And give Miami credit, Chris. Shot 50% from three. They knocked down their shots.
Yep.
And even with that, think about how well they shot the ball, Chris, and in the fourth quarter they put up all those points. They still won by 3. Like, it wasn't like they blew them out. They won by 3 and shot great.
Yep.
And the Joker had 41.
And yesterday, think about it. Denver only hit 5 3-pointers, Rob.
That's crazy.
5 3-pointers.
In this man's NBA.
Yeah. It's rare that you're going to win a game with 5 3-pointers. Another team hit 11, I think.
Yeah, I think first time it's ever happened. First time in these playoffs, Chris. That somebody won with that few amount of threes.